Hey y'all, and welcome to video 5 of my channel and 5 of this series talking about Kang Seulgi and her debut 28 Reasons. We have finally made it to 28 Reasons after all of this foundational work that we've laid. We are ready to fully appreciate this masterpiece. So I have enlisted the help of my wonderful friends Justin and Caitlin, who both have degrees in film. They've given me lots of knowledge of all the things that I need to know, and I'm sitting here at my desk with the trailer pulled up, and I'm ready to talk about it with y'all, so let's hop right into it, shall we?
So blurring always has intention, although what it mostly does is it conveys depth. So that could mean you are now entering their state of mind, is the way that I interpreted this. At first, it kind of shows her back profile, right? And then it goes okay.
I actually was thinking while you were talking that I think the beginning also kind of does that. I was wondering why they chose to fade into her back.
So this is 100% an introduction, and a lot of filmmakers actually use this. In this case, it is introducing her. It is introducing the mood by doing the zoom in as well. The zoom in after the introduction is basically saying, "Look at me. Look at how I'm feeling."
I wonder, does that have any significance? Why is she at the pool? Why is she? I don't know. Is water still water? I know still waters can equal bad omens because sailors would need the active waters to get their ships moving. But I don't know if that really translates to a literal pool.
Too, this is just because I watch Ghost Adventures, but I know that water is flowing water is a way that they can use energy to manifest spirits flowing water.
By doing the zoom in as well. The zoom in after the introduction is basically saying, "Look at me, look at how I'm feeling." That is how this shot is looking to me. Mm-hmm. This empty space around it, they chose that empty space because she's just a small thing in a big world.
Justin mentions again that the cut to her face is quick and then moves immediately to her fingers. We're here. We see that she has injuries on her nose, and then we're here.
This
and immediately
shot,
it zooms in on her.
So it zooms in on her. Right now it is showing how exactly she's feeling, and she wants you to look at her face. Yeah. With those red splotches, the camera pans up to her face to give you a slight glimpse to show okay, this is what I look like, but the quick jump cut is I want to hide. That's what it looks like to me. And in terms of the technical sense, it is just the closeness is to just show her emotion, to show what she's thinking, what she's feeling. It's an introduction to thought.
Yeah.
From what I gather, the zoom in on the nail right there is a continuation of thought. It is showing how she's feeling in the moment, and the reason why it does that,
the superstitions within it, her cutting nails at night.
I was hoping you would talk about the superstitions. I didn't get a chance to look into it yet.
Yeah, cutting your nails at night will allow angry or vengeful spirits to enter your body, as there are more wandering spirits at nighttime.
To me, it looks like something is actively affecting her, or something is causing her loss, kind of like what this nail situation is.
Yes.
The clipping of the nails, the zooming in and showing her actively doing it, might be showing a brutal act based on the folk thing that you told me.
Yes.
And so they want people who relate to that or understand it to be bad, and each nail shows just how bad that is for her.
Building off of his thoughts, are those her 28 reasons that we're seeing laying on the ground right in front of us?
The reason why they...
Oh, because there's so many.
Yep, and the reason why they blurred out the rest and focus on that one is because that's the one she just cut. So it's a fresh cut. The rest is just, it's past left behind her. That's why it's all blurry.
Needless to say, these nails are significant. At first glance, you may not think so, but not only do they allude to the 28 reasons laid before her, they also have to do with common superstitions in Korea. So having that background information, she's doing something that channels negative energy or feeds negative energies around you. I think this could understandably be seen as her feeding the negative energies around her on purpose to feed that evil that is naturally inside of her, that is alongside the good. I think it could also be used to talk about the narrative of the trailer. The overarching theme of the trailer is to communicate to us little Seulgi has been through things that has hurt her. Little Seulgi, and in this video, I'm assuming teenager Seulgi, have gone through things that have made them calloused, have made them numb. What she knows is that she needs to cut her nails, and who cares if bad energy gets inside of her? She's been through enough already. Nothing matters. You could see it as either way. You could see it as both ways. I personally enjoy taking both of those perspectives into account when I'm enjoying this trailer, and seeing how art can be appreciated in many different ways at the same time that all further the same. I am not here to start a discussion on how technically any of this stuff could be used to further something completely different, but feel free to keep that in the back of your mind. This is all subjective. Moving on.
The eye. Yep, the eye is just showing. So the closer you get visually, the more deep in thought you are. The closer you are, the more you are getting to know about a person. And
so like that kind of just like affirms that like what we just saw was teaching us about her.
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
Yep. And like right now is a visual reason why the camera is showing, you know, those two shades of color. I guess many things going on in her mind, like that's why it's showing stuff like that.
Oh, because this is like ready and this is blue.
There is a reason, a specific reason why they are zooming in on the eye. Because they could zoom in on the mouth, they could zoom in on the nose, but there is a reason they chose the eye.
Mm-hmm. To me, the reason they chose this eye comes back down to the main message of the work, which is good and evil can exist in one person. It takes power and strength and empathy to look within another person and acknowledge the complexities of someone. They zoom in on her eye as she looks down at the symbolic representations of her 28 reasons, the symbolic representation of what makes up Kang Seulgi. In this way, the things that make her complex are laid out right in front of her for her to see. The message isn't about speaking to the complexities within another person and developing a conversation with it. I guess to some extent it kind of is like hearing another person out, but that's really not what we're getting at here. What we're getting at is looking within other people to acknowledge good and evil can exist within the same person and seeing it for how it is.
The other thing about the trailer that stood out to me was there's imagery of like innocence as well as like unholiness and evil. Like she's with school children, and like children themselves are seen as like innocent and pure, and they're also all dressed in white, and white is like a color of innocence, purity. And then she's whistling in the trailer too, and it says another common superstition suggests that if you whistle at night, you will attract wandering ghosts who are more likely to be present and follow you home. So that already in the trailer is like adding like an eeriness.
So they chose, again, they chose her as the main focus, so they blurred everyone out, but they chose showing her this close because they still want you in her, they still want you to feel for her right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's why they don't have that wide shot. You're still focused on her, and you're wondering visually what's going on right now. Like this is a moment of confusion. This is trying to understand her. That wide angle shot was chosen to establish space again. She is in like this weird gymnasium place, like maybe this place in the thematic of her album. So, but this I understand because beforehand we were in one space at one time. This is a different space. We didn't know what was going on, and now that we do, it's like, oh, the wide angle shot is to like establish that there is something going on in her world that is considered strange, or maybe this might be the strongest piece to I'm going solo. All the people around her, those could be fans or those could be her fellow people. But like this is like,
because I've always wondered about this scene because the backstory, which is apparent later in the trailer, is that the kids like kind of think she's an outcast. But here they like are like rallying around her, and they don't look like they don't like her.
Well, that's the thing. I think she's feeling cast out because like this is like holding hands, right? Is like a togetherness like bond, right?
Yes.
She is being surrounded. She was surrounded by togetherness, but now she's stuck alone. If you go to the next shot, this is her being like visually it looks like, did I make the right choice by going solo?
Oh.
Am I doing the right thing? Like, she is actively thinking, what am I doing right now? Is this good for me? Am I gonna be okay?
Yeah. Yes. But in the context of like the narrative, not just Seulgi of today.
These guys are dancing in the background, right now?
Yeah.
Yep. So here I'm thinking these are other performers. Getting massive anxiety. She has like an anxiety complex over working alone. That's what I'm thinking.
Yes, that makes sense.
Hearing Justin talk about how this could be representing her weariness of, is going solo the right choice for me? Or discussing her anxieties revolving around going solo. She talks in the behind the scenes footage and behind the scenes content of creating 28 Reasons about how, when considering her fans, she thinks to herself, they would want me to do something only I can do, which puts a lot of pressure on someone, to be honest. She also discusses in the behind the scenes talking to Joy, fellow Red Velvet member, about her solo debut, what it was like, how she went about it. She gets a lot of advice from Joy, and the members come and visit her on set while filming the music video for 28 Reasons to give her support and backup in times of high anxiety. So even in an environment such as K-pop, where SM Entertainment and her creative crew have so much power over what goes into these music videos, over her final say, effort is still being taken to communicate her personal experience. Perhaps it's not directly only about her. This is an experience many people have at some point in their life. Doing something for the very first time and confiding in the people around you that have done it before and know what's going on. But still, you question yourself, are you making the right decision here? Overall, this interpretation connects to the theme by highlighting her humanness, by highlighting the realistic aspects of what makes Kang Seulgi, and part of that is her anxieties, as well as the dual good and evil existing in one person. And as I mentioned before, the kids don't like Seulgi in this trailer. Seulgi is the outcast of the school. And if you think of those students as representing the general population, that is a really heavy message. A message of, despite all of that background information we have on her being a good kid, being well liked in school, being a good person, even being well liked as a trainee, she still feels like the general population around her may reject what is coming from her now budding solo discography. Is that possible? I don't think so. Justin also mentioned the possibility of maybe these students, as they're dancing around her and joining hands around her, are meant to symbolize other performers, her anxieties around keeping up with the current releases and the other people around her also creating awesome music. Here in this shot, we talked about how the color and the lighting work together to communicate a really interesting, intricate image of the theme. Here we see a student girl, which is Seulgi. It is meant to be Seulgi. Clearly it is an actress, but it is meant to be young Seulgi. She's sitting on the ground in the darker portion of the screen, in the blue, cool-toned side of the screen. And today's Seulgi in the striped shirt is sitting in the warm-toned, illuminated section of the work, putting a blindfold over her eyes. This is, for me, symbolizing how today's Seulgi can take care of her younger self. She is able to take care of and attend to her inner child and effectively shield her from the anxieties and numbness that comes along with the bad things that happened in her younger years. This moment here is when today's Seulgi is nurturing her inner child.
Green. This is a concept called the rule of thirds, which, think of it like a tic-tac-toe grid.
Okay.
Like, that's exactly what the rule of thirds is. A lot of people follow these rule of thirds, and if you look at, like, just search like a Google picture of it, you'll see like a lot of these interesting shots are in the left, in the right. They're slightly off the middle with those close-up shots. Did you notice it was very striking, especially the one where she's about to fall in the water?
Yeah.
She was right dead in the center. You only really do that when you are acknowledging the audience, or you have a moment where they are in danger or in the spotlight. So to speak.
Yeah.
Like,
that
so,
tells
like,
us something's about to happen.
Justin and I talked about how this scene here is striking because of the rule of thirds and communicates to us that danger is incoming. We both interpreted that at the time when we were together as falling into this water. But let's talk about the sequence of clips and adult Seulgi's interaction with this clip.
And so you're gonna get all that raw emotion by staring into the eyes of the camera. Think of the camera as an eye.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that's one of the biggest things we learn in school is the camera as an eye.
Yeah.
And that's the end of that spiel.
No, that's awesome.
Okay. So first thing I will say about this, we can skip the entire first interaction because it's a lot of what I said in the last trailer.
And something that stuck out to me in the trailer and the music video was like especially the trailer though, but she's wearing like a green striped shirt, and the whole like beginning is just like kind of like cool tone. There's the scene where she's like in the forest and she's like with a gun, and
we have adult Seulgi out in the forest, quite literally fending for herself. Perhaps my interpretation of why she is out in the forest with a gun is changing my perspective of the scene. Where I'm coming from, what I'm interpreting is that this is some sort of Katniss Everdeen District 12 scenario where she is quite literally needing to survive by hunting, and she's shooting at some sort of animal with the intention to cook and eat it. Seeing her tattered hat and dark clothes reminds me sort of what maybe Katniss Everdeen might wear when she's hunting in the forest during the Hunger Games trilogy. Anyways, I digress. Back to the point at hand. This clip is alternating with inner child Seulgi. Following her wiping her eyes, preparing to shoot her shot, immediately following that shot is inner child Seulgi. And what do we see aligning with inner child Seulgi in the next shot? Today's Seulgi looking down the barrel of her gun, locked and loaded, ready to pull the trigger. And then, bam, not reacting, stoic face. She is numb and she is ready. And this following Seulgi just before healing and protecting her inner child, and then immediately switching to a scene where she is taking out her inner child, shows the complexities of this topic. Perhaps she goes back and forth between wanting to nurture and love her inner child and just wanting it to go away and stop bugging her. No matter how you personally interpret putting these two scenes next to each other and what they may mean for the course of her life, they undoubtedly communicate the complexities of this issue. They communicate the good, nurturing, loving Seulgi existing at the same time as the evil, bad Seulgi who just wants to commit crimes against her inner child. Here we see that her and her inner child are still very much connected. She still feels triggered and brought back to those times by certain things that are happening in her life. Here we see her needing to defend herself with drastic measures yet again. Here we see the act of simply putting in an earbud to disguise the atrocities of what she just felt like she needed to commit, brings her back, triggers her to remembering her childhood back in school, where kids unapologetically brushed her shoulders. She physically walked against the grain. She goes against the grain here. Here, as she's wearing white and swinging, doing something we'd expect of a child, and in a strange location. Typically when you're swinging, you're outside on a playground of some sort, but she is even on a swing, locked inside in some sort of structure that is incomplete. Again, the white can represent her innocence, that this is meant to portray young Seulgi, not today's Seulgi, feeling outcasted.
You have any clues? Any input on that one, Bestie?
So my final points are about the movie The Tale of Two Sisters. When you look at like stills of the movie, like the two sisters are like wearing white dresses. They're wearing white dresses just like she was, and they're children. So there's that like innocence and purity sitting there still. The daughter, like it ends up being revealed that like she would just have like two personalities, like she had personality disorder. And
so there's only one sister.
yeah, because I guess the other sister died and she was like hallucinating her still being alive, but she was actually like the one sister was being herself and then being like the personality of like her stepmom or something. Like either way, she had two personalities, and her personality as the girl was like trying to protect herself because I guess the stepmom was like abusive, and her other personality as a stepmom was like being crazy and abusive, and I guess like the second sister was already dead like this whole time. And so there's like that parallel between like
How did she die?
within the same person, good and evil. All right, I don't remember, but yeah, there's like that common theme of like protection. Like the little girl was trying to protect herself and protect who she thought was like her sister, but her sister was dead. And then it talked about like ghosts and spirits in the movie, and it is ultimately revealed that Sumi and her father were alone in the house the entire time. Sumi is the sister, and it says Sumi had suffered from dissociative identity disorder, where she possessed two personalities, herself and a ruder, more distant variation of her stepmom, Unju, and she was also the one that killed the pet bird. So those are things that like she thought I think the stepmom were doing, but it was like actually her because she was like portraying the stepmom. And it says Suyeon was also revealed to be long dead. Her presence was actually the result of Sumi's hallucinations. Here's footsteps in Suyeon's old bedroom, revealing that the ghost actually exists. Suyeon's real ghost crawls out of the closet and kills Unju. Meanwhile, Sumi smiles, appearing to have finally found peace. So there's like that the parallel of like the good and the evil within one person, and also like the spirits, just like in the trailer, the clipping your nails at night, like you're not supposed to do that because the spirits can like get you.
So, as you just saw, Caitlin and I talked about how the white dress in the bare bones house could be a reference to Korean pop culture and this horror movie. At the end of the day, Seulgi is making a music video, and that is a full-blown horror, so of course the connections are not going to be precise. But at the end of the day, the white dress and the empty house and the destruction of innocence connects both of these two sources, and thus concludes our look-see at the trailer of 28 Reasons and how it sets up the music video. This tells us some background information about Seulgi, the world in which she is operating in for her solo debut, because there's so much context for how she's operating in Red Velvet that we needed a fresh start, a new perspective, and a Seulgi-only world to operate within. We needed a blank canvas for which to build this theme of good and evil in one person. So I hope that this analysis has given you some tools for which to view the 28 Reasons music video and appreciate it in a new light. In my next video, we will be looking at the actual 28 Reasons music video. Everybody clapped. Everybody's clapping. And we will love on and appreciate Ms. Kang Seulgi. I will see you in the next one. Ka-chow.